No problem, thanks. Good evening. I'm calling the Monday, January 13th Planning Commission meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right. Do I have any concerns about the agenda this evening? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Commissioner Taylor moved and seconded by Commissioner Grote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. Moving on, we have the minutes from, looks like we last met on November 18th. Any concerns about the minutes?
Yes.
Commissioner Grote.
Bottom of page 8 of the minutes, we have a typo. I think Mr. Barnhart can probably tell us what the word should be.
Lot. Is that what you were
Lot?
referring to? Lot? The,
Single lot. Okay. We'll get it fixed.
Okay. Any other concerns with the agenda or the minutes? All right. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Second. Minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes as amended are approved. We have two public hearings this evening. First is Nexus Innovation Center 2, 2024-11. Preliminary plat dividing one lot into two lots on 14.35 acres and a site plan review on 14.35 acres. Would the proponent of the project please come forward? Good evening. If you could state your name and spell for the record and tell us about your request, please.
sure, good evening. My name is Joe Bergman, B as in boy, E-R-G-M-A-N. I'm a partner with Endeavor Development, and we are the sponsor of the Nexus project. And for context, we were here in summer of 2024 with this project previously. We did it as we were presenting it as a single building, 185,000 square foot redevelopment of an existing American Family Insurance campus that is vacant. We're back here subdividing it into two for two buildings to accommodate a single user in the larger 92,000 square foot building, and then a second 82,000 square foot building that is being built on a speculative basis. So here's a little bit about Endeavor Development. Started in 2020. We've done roughly 3 million square feet of industrial space across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa over the last 5 years. As I mentioned, this specific site is the former office campus for American Family Insurance. We previously rezoned the site to I-2 industrial, and we're back here with a revision to our site plan from one single building of 185,000 square feet into two smaller buildings totaling 174,000 square feet. And the build-to-suit is for a company called H.M. Craig, formerly located in Eden Prairie, relocated to Edina, and now is coming back as part of this project. Here's the site right at the juncture of 212, Crosstown and 169. And this is the site plan that we're proposing: two separate buildings, shared access and shared drive lane between the buildings. We've utilized a number of sustainable strategies, specifically recycling a lot of the materials in the existing office buildings that will be demolished and then used as Class 5 underneath these new buildings here. We will actually be installing 7 EV charging stations as part of Building 1, and we will have the infrastructure for 3 additional charging stations for Building 2, as well as the buildings will be built to support solar panel installation at some point in the future. We have more than enough parking to accommodate the user we have in hand, and as well as fairly heavy office finish users for the speculative building. Approximately 25% we could accommodate with the parking we have on site. Here is the elevations and the material key for both projects. They're the same on both projects, but it's a mix of architectural precast painted in a number of complementary colors, as well as a cultured stone veneer, and then with some metal sunshades and window frames. And I've actually got the materials here. Let's see an example of them. And this is the speculative building as well. Very similar, just a little bit smaller. So rendering viewed from the southwest. And these is another building we built up in a project up in Maple Grove, but using very similar materials and a very similar design. Some interior photos of a number of tenants that we've had in our projects, representative photos here. And then just a summary. In summary, we're requesting site plan and preliminary plat approval. And the goal is to repurpose an underutilized and obsolete office campus and bring some jobs and some tax base back to a very visible site. So, with that said, are there any questions from the commissioners?
Thank you. Any initial questions? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Jeremy, would take us through the planner's report.
Yes, Chair, Commissioners. As Joe had mentioned, this is a kind of a repeat of something you saw last summer. Larger building broken down into two smaller buildings. The materials, the building design and the building materials are identical to what was approved last time, and they are compliant with the I-2 zoning district requirements. Setbacks, parking requirements, parking setbacks, all standards of the I-2 zoning district are being met. This project was designed with the goal of avoiding a waiver, and no waiver has been identified or requested. And as Joe had mentioned, it does meet certain sustainability goals that we have in the ordinance in terms of EV parking and ability to expand for those purposes in the future. A couple of things I wanted to highlight. The parking meeting the requirements is based on a proof of parking number, which is something we've done in the past where we've approved less parking on a property with the knowledge that it could be expanded if the business need requires it. Both buildings do meet the parking requirements based on that calculation. Obviously, that does limit the uses of the building. There's a kind of an assumption of an amount of office space and an assumption of amount of warehousing space. If we were to increase manufacturing space or any other kind of use that would require more parking than warehousing, we might have to have a different conversation in terms of what parking can be met on the site. But based on their proposal, based on the uses that they've identified, the parking does meet the requirements. Really the only kind of outstanding issue that we have identified from a staff level, because as you notice on the staff report, there is a number of conditions that we're looking to have be addressed before this is scheduled for the city council meeting. The outstanding item is kind of the material necessary for the screening of the secured parking area. On the screen here, I have the location of the secured parking area, which is basically the northeast corner of the site. It is prominent from a visibility standpoint as you enter the site from the north, which is the access to the property. Staff and the developer continuing to work together on the material for that screening material. I understand that security is an issue for the potential client, and obviously we want to support that. And then the screening, we're looking to make sure that complies with city code and the design guidelines. I'm confident that we'll get that resolved before it goes to the city council for review. With that, staff is recommending approval of the preliminary plat and the site plan subject to the conditions outlined in the staff memo. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the city about this request? Mr. Chair? Commissioner Fart?
Last time when we had the one building, there was a comment from the applicant about a potential mezzanine structure if and as needed for a tenant. And since one tenant is already identified for the first building A, do you know if the square footage of office versus warehouse that you were talking about for your proof of parking calculations, has that been broken down because of the tenant has been identified and space planned? And are they using a mezzanine structure that would add to the square footage of this property?
I'll defer the question on the mezzanine to the applicant in terms of their needs, but the parking is based on what the developer or the applicant has asked for based on the number of square footage. So I'm confident that that does meet their goals. I believe that they've been working with that applicant, or excuse me, that potential client throughout much of the process, but only just recently I announced who that tenant could be.
Okay, thank you.
Would you mind coming up, please? Thank you.
Sure. So yes, building one does include a mezzanine space. So it's roughly 15,000 square feet of mezzanine office for HM Craig, the user there. So our parking, part of the reason we're using the proof of parking is because we're including that mezzanine space in the parking count, even though the footprint of the building hasn't
Right.
changed.
Okay, so if the footprint's about 92,000 square feet and you have 15,000 square feet of mezzanine, the gross building area is going to be that 117. or whatever
Correct.
it is.
Yep.
100 Didn't do my math right, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, 117-ish.
107. Yep.
107, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. And that's okay by you?
Yep.
Yep, good, thanks. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak for or against this project, please do so now. I'm not seeing anyone. I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second. All those in favor of close public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Any further discussion? Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to move to recommend approval for preliminary plat and site plan review on 14.35 acres as represented in the January 13, 2025 staff report.
We have a motion for approval, Commissioner Farr. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Sherwood. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Would anyone like to abstain? Okay. All right, thank you. Good luck. And thanks for bringing another business back to Eden Prairie. So. All right, another public hearing. Moving on this evening, we have a code amendment, office use in public zone 2024-04CA. This is an amendment request to Chapter 11, Section 11.07, permitted uses table, special districts. Commissioner Sherwood?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recuse myself from this issue because I have represented the Eden Prairie School District on this transaction.
Sounds good. Thank you, Commissioner Sherwood. All right. Jeremy, will you be taking us through this request?
Yes, I will. The city is initiating this amendment, and as Mr. Sherwood had identified, one of the potential benefactors of it could be the school district. As you know, last summer, the school district purchased the Unify property, which was originally developed as an office building in the office zoning district. And when they acquired it to use it for school, they needed to change it to the public zoning district. In kind of analyzing their needs, it was identified that a potential portion of the building would be vacant if, or used for a different use that would require a change in our code. So what this text amendment does is allows in unique situations, a building that's originally developed as an office building and currently used for a school district or school purpose, portion of that could be used for office or medical office as kind of an accessory or secondary use of that. So the primary purpose of the primary use of the property is still going to be educational or school, but it does allow kind of a little bit of a relief valve for these type of buildings that maybe allow a school entity to grow into them a bit as needs and program goals dictate. So relatively modest change. If you looked in your packet, there's 2 lines, I believe, in our change in our code. But it is allowed for specific uses, not strictly the public school district, but other schools that meet those criteria. And staff is recommending approval of the ordinance as we drafted. We don't see as an issue from a use perspective. We're not trying to pollute our public zoning district. These buildings were originally built for office purposes, so parking, traffic demands are all kind of expected. They were originally office, so we don't see a negative impact to the neighboring properties or the neighborhood at large. So again, staff is recommending approval as drafted.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for the city? No? All right. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak for or against this request, please do so now. Not seeing anyone. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion to close in a second. All those in favor of close the public hearing say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing's closed. Any further discussion or concerns?
Mr. Chair, this seems like a very common sense approach to a unique problem here. I certainly support it.
Agree, makes sense.
Okay.
Yep, same here.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Move to recommend approval for Chapter 11, Section 11.07 Code Amendment as represented in the January 13th, 2025 staff report.
All right, I have a motion for Commissioner Kirk. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second for Commissioner Taylor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, would anyone else like to abstain? Commissioner Sherwood recused himself. Anyone else like to abstain? All right. Thank you, Jeremy. That has passed. That's the end of our public hearings this evening. Any planners reports?
No, just an update. Procedurally, you'll likely see a couple items at the January 27th meeting, a variance and a text amendment. So more work to be coming.
Any members' reports from anyone? All right, I just have a brief one. Last week, Jeremy and I presented to the city council our year in review for the commission, and every single city council member expressed their gratitude for all the work that everyone does on this board. So I just want to make sure I share that. They said that it really helps all the vetting we do. It helps them understand the issue, so they really do appreciate the work we do. There's also a brief discussion about sustainability. That sustainability components in projects are really important to city council. So they like that we ask questions about solar panels and EVs and all those sustainability components. So just thought I'd share those two items, and then that's all I have. And would anyone like to entertain a motion to approve and go watch TV?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All right, all those in favor of adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.